leaves.
Alright, so I found another random hopper out here. I'm gonna put a pause on the chunk loading project. Please don't click. I'm gonna put a pause on the chunk loading. I'm gonna put a pause on the chunk loading topic right now, and probably just move on to putting a shulker box unloader here. So here's the issue. The design I have for it is it breaks if you put in an empty shulker box. So I might have to put a clock on it, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like it would make sense if you know, it just uses this clock maybe. I don't know. I'll do a little bit of a modification to make it so that it's foolproof, and then I'll definitely be installing it as a permanent fixture in here. So I'm thinking like I'll have an outside chest, like maybe in the corner or something, just so it's obviously out of the way and meant for shulker boxes. I will label it with a thing saying shulker boxes only, because if you put normal items in there, it's not going to work right.
I don't know.
Alright, I am on the test world of the design I plan to use. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Rubik's. So each of these shulker boxes has 8 diamonds in it, and you need to trigger it somehow. Okay, I don't actually know why this hasn't triggered here. So it detects that when a dispenser is full, it pushes all of the empty ones into a separate chest, and then all of the diamonds go through. But for some reason, this is locked. Wow. Okay, so why I was so confused is the fact that I don't think this shulker box has any diamonds in it. Yeah, okay. So this is exactly the problem. It detects an output, which unlocks the hopper, and then it triggers the whole system again. And the problem is if there's nothing to detect, it doesn't dispense. So you need to have some kind of clock. So after the input that would actually send an output, so like an input that sends output. So this wire here that powers the dispenser, you would want that to be some kind of delay that would then trigger this piston and the dispenser again. So you'd want it to create some kind of quick clock, and I think we could easily squeeze one in here. I'm going to do some redstone on camera. So I just give it maybe 4 ticks, and then in the instance that this comparator is reading an output, we could actually probably just steal that right here. That wouldn't be smart. Let's do this. So the idea is this would send an output that would cut off this circuit so it wouldn't trigger early. And that's just something simple. I'll make that up and then show you what I mean. Wow, this took longer than I would like to admit. Almost exactly an hour and a half. Um, I just kept getting messed up and confusing myself, and this is a rough design. Trust me, I will try my very best to compact it. But this is the idea. Um, there were things like I removed the piston with the observer that triggers the system because inadvertently this also triggers the system. And it also shuts off the clock when it's empty. So this thing is actually really solid. I can throw in empty shulker boxes. It'll sort through them in just about as fast as it can. I haven't fine-tuned that clock, but on this design, I fine-tuned it with a different design. And then you can see the when this chest is full, the empty ones just kind of sit on top of it. And then all the empty shulker boxes go in there. I haven't had a single one go in here since this started working. And then of course you can just as well throw in shulker boxes with items in. And never once have I seen a shulker box get broken when it shouldn't have. And you can see that it's easily going in. If you're ever messing with shulker boxes, I don't know why I never thought of this, please use color coding. It is so much easier for me because when I'm testing this, I can easily see that the empty ones are red. So let's just throw in a few of those to mess up the, I could just, yeah. So you can see as soon as there's an empty one, it'll deal with that just fine. And then the system kind of works pretty well. I can make a video on this if you want, or a world download. I'll probably make a video on it anyway. But so far, I'm actually really happy with this. It's been very impressive. And then you see it just shuts itself down when it's empty. So, yeah, I'm going to work on compacting this wiring, but if I'm unsuccessful, then I'm probably just going to build this on the server. I'm actually really happy with this. Now that I'm looking at this from out here, there's one observer, one dispenser, 3 pistons. Pretty actually solid design. Like, I like this because it's kind of classic wiring, if you will. Simple repeater delays, dust, torches, comparators, nothing too fancy. There is quite a bit of logic in here. I mean, I use some pretty clever tricks, but I'm happy with this. Okay, so let's play a little fun game. To start off, super happy with the end result of this design. It is 100% stable. I've been stress testing it a lot. Okay, that was from a test. So I realized that that is stable, and you can even make the clock a little bit faster than that, but every once in a while, like you just saw, you'll get shulker boxes inside of the system, which is not okay. I mean, in our sorting system, this would then go throughout the entire system, and I mean, the shulker boxes would just end up in the overflow anyway, but that would be kind of annoying. You know, that would just be a flaw in the system that doesn't need to be there. And you don't really need this clock to be fast. I mean, if all of these shulker boxes are completely full, watch. It'll just start sorting. And all this clock does is reduce the time waiting until the next one. And you see how fast it already is, right? Um, Now that clock is really there mostly for the empty ones. So if we can just sort through a few of these in a second, we'll see. But I'm really so far happy with how far I got this compacted. I mean, look at that. Like, it's plenty fast. It doesn't really matter. None will ever get in this system at that clock speed. It's totally stable, and I'm really happy. As a question to the Minerva members maybe watching this, or as just an out loud thought, maybe we should send these empty shulker boxes to the reservoir for our empty shulker boxes that we use for the bulk storage. We could just send these right over there instead of putting these in an extra chest. That was just an idea. May or may not hook that up. If we did do that, we might want to make the reservoir accessible, but I don't know. Now the fun part of this is if anybody wants to take this design and compact it, be my guest. I will provide a world download in the description. I was going to say comment section as a joke. But, I mean, here's the thing. I'm talking to you as Zimby who might watch this. He likes to compact stuff on our server. If you do compact this, don't make a big deal out of it. I used no I used no entities in this. I made it as lag friendly as I could. I reduced a bunch of pistons where like I use a torch here where I was using a sticky piston earlier, but if you can make this smaller with the same effectiveness and absolutely flawless like this design, then go for it. So this works with let's go through the specs real quick. This works with empty or full shulker boxes. I believe it can handle one shulker box at a time. Yep. Now that's something that doesn't work with some other systems. And one flaw is that it leaves the empty shulker box. But as I explained, I think earlier, I did cut a little bit out of this video. That's just as well as storage. I mean, the next wave of shulker boxes will come through and clean them out anyway. Now, of course, this is a failsafe. In a perfect world, you wouldn't have people on the server throwing in empty shulker boxes because they're already empty. But this does allow me to have this accessible, like just, hey, put all shulker boxes here, because if you put it in the main system, it'll break. Continuing with the specs, it's the fastest clock that it can be to make it stable. It's pretty much instant. Shulker boxes get sorted immediately. You can see that they get pushed out to the side, so there's two different outputs on this system. These hoppers are staggered for no good reason. I just wanted normal chests. It's pretty good. Oh, and it turns off the clock automatically when it's done. And that's what this little tiny bit sticking out to the side is. I know that this is going to bug some people. I don't care, so I'm going to relish in your distaste. But, yeah, I mean, there's even room to maybe, like, stick this comparator out to the side, but you'd interact with that. I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, if it works, whatever. This has already taken, let me check my phone. 2 hours. It's 8 o'clock. I've spent exactly 2 hours on this little design. I'm going to stick this in the storage room. It's going to be there forever, and I'm just going to load shulker boxes into it. So that's what I'm going to go build. It is a little while after, but let's talk a little bit about this sorting system. Can you hear that clock? Yeah, we're running at like less than half speed right now because the server just can't handle our world. Which means this entire system is going to take more than twice as long to sort than it should. And that's pretty unavoidable. I can't make the server have a better computer, sorry. So that kind of sucks, and it's really laggy. Well, for me it's laggy. Recording I'm down to 23 FPS, but anyway, what I've been doing is I made an input for the chest. I made it a trapped chest. More often than not, I don't care if it's trapped or not because I think you should be smarter about what you throw in. But for shulker boxes, I can understand how you might have like a personal shulker box and you wouldn't want its entire inventory being emptied. Like I know Viral's got a shit ton of pickaxes in one, for example. So that I can understand. So I made it a trap chest initially, but then everything will just kind of chain down, and then I figured I'd just put the system right here. And then that top hopper wouldn't be necessary, and then that would just feed into the system. It would empty the shulker box, and I'm also thinking that I'll move this entire clock down right here. But that also depends on the wiring for this thing, which I also don't know about. I don't want to build too much without the blueprints for this clock down here, because there's supposed to be a lot more wiring connecting to the snow and powering these, and I'm not exactly sure what all needs to go on there, which is funny because I built it, but the guys wired up the inputs. So, wow, I need one dispenser. Did any string get sorted? Okay, I can just avoid the whole mess because we don't have any, last time I checked, yeah, we don't have any that are sorted. We might have some in the sorter, but, oh man, gee, I sure hope I have enough sticks. By the way, this system, like the witch farms are filling these shulker boxes a lot faster than I thought they would. That's a lot. I didn't think it would nearly take this amount of time. When these are full, they're just going to stop being collected and go into the overflow chest. I'll probably make a second sorter for all of the witch hut loot to just be grabbed and destroyed. Wow. I think Omar was going to AFK this or something. Yeah. So he's got over 500 entities here in the villager, and they're getting stuck. Wow, okay, so this is a glitch with the rendering that we found. I'm not entirely sure why it does this. I noticed that we were running at 7 ticks per second, which as you can imagine is really bad. And the server is taking a hit. I'm gonna kick Omar because, yeah, this is ridiculous. Oh my. Hold on a second. I think his macro was working better than I thought. It didn't look like he was trading. Because right after I kicked him, he came right back. So I'm assuming if he's running a system right now, it's probably making him just join the game right away. Because look. Unless he really came back. Yeah, no, see, he's back. Okay. Omar, I'm sorry. I just need him to not be in the game. This area is really hurting the server. We don't have a lot to work with. Alright, so I imagine this is temporary, but listen to this. That is what it was supposed to sound like. So now the server is running at full-ish speed. Chunks are still loading in, but let's just do another debug test just to see how it's running. I'm glad I kicked everyone and then restarted the server because I needed What the hell is going on? So, yeah, no, we're running at 20 ticks per second. So now we can enjoy Minecraft as it's meant to be played, at least for a while. I do expect the server to slack behind at some point.
There's
It
no
has been
drawback other
explained to
than
me that Nuke is going to lower the building structure of all the huts because it looks better. Also, the roof goes into another chunk, which apparently lowers the rates by like 10% or something. I don't know. Okay then. I already mentioned this on camera, but I have, like, about how we were running at 20 ticks per second, but I can honestly say that I don't think I've ever seen this thing running at full speed. Like, this is how it would be running in a single-player world if your PC was really good. Like, this is how the thing should be running. I got the schematic pulled up right here, and this is what I think I'm going to do. It's kind of a sloppy band-aid solution, but I think it should work. So, what I'm going to do is, because I don't want this to go up an elevator where the items could potentially build up and just sit here forever, I'm going to have it so that whenever this clock is running, well, that's not going to work. Maybe I'll have it so that I'll have two comparators reading over either of these hoppers, and if any of them get a signal that signal will turn off this system, so it'll stop, it'll lock this hopper and stop unloading the items. And then once these hoppers are done, which means that nothing is being put into this system, then it'll start dispensing. That way it'll ensure that nothing is ever backed up and it can always go through. Well, I think I fixed that iron sorter. And I also triggered every single one of these. Oh, wait, that's a filter item. Is that... Okay. I think some of these are just going to be broken for a while. So a lot of these shulker boxes down here are going to have random stuff like that. But I think it's going to be okay. I'm pretty sure this is fixed. Here, let's do this. So when this is full, it's going to trigger this, which will pull that down. Okay, so all of these pistons need to be inverted. Alright, so I just triggered it so that I removed the repeaters up here, and then I placed an observer, which pulsed all of these pistons to pull their observers down. Please ignore that. And that should fix this. So if we go back to our glowstone iron, for example, when that's full, it'll trigger this, trigger the observer, it'll send an output which will reset the system, and it all should be good. Their default position should be down, and this system over here has the exact same situation. And you saw earlier that that right side was working, and this left side was not. So that should fix the system. Now I'm going to go through, place all the repeaters back, and set them all to 2 ticks. Oh, and after all of that, I now remember that I just needed iron. So, yeah, got it. I'm not bragging or anything, but I have a decent computer. CPU is underpowered, graphics card is more than capable, but wow, is this area laggy. I'm the only one on the server. I got over 540 entities, and I'm taking the hint that that number seemed to have been rising. Now it's not. I don't know why that is. But wow, it is so bad in this area. Got 500 entities. I mean, I could lower my chunk rate. I don't know that that would affect too much. Because once the chunks are loaded, I don't know. Yeah, it is bad. And it's even giving me a hard time. So, like, I'm holding strong. Like, even at 17 FPS, it's a smooth 17 FPS. So, it's definitely playable. But this is a tough location. Like, look at this. Rendering the schematic is lagging. If I didn't just design this thing, I wouldn't know where to place these blocks. So, this is definitely going to be a trick. Alright, so this was actually a pretty easy build. Set this up in, well, literally seconds. It was not bad at all. So the shulker boxes should come into here. I probably should have brought some to test with. I think this thing is pretty well lit. I mean, I built with glowstone instead of slabs, so it should be pretty much fine. And it was pretty simple to set up. I'm just using glowstone as my main building block. That way I don't need to light anything up later on, and that should be it. So that there, I'll probably just give it a chest to go into. I don't really know what to do with that for now. I don't know why I'm worried about saving this glowstone. I'm standing in a quad witch farm. I mean, come on. But yeah, I just want to give it something there. And then this hopper here will go somewhere else. So I'll probably do exactly what I said I would with that. Every man comes to a point in his life when a decision needs to be made. Well, this is one of those times. This beacon is perfectly where I need to put this block to read these hoppers. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. I'm going to probably just move it. Wow, he built the wiring around these beacons. That's interesting. I'll see if Viral can... No, I don't know. I'm just gonna delete it for now and see what effect it takes away. Okay, so we probably don't need strength or regen, but if we do, we'll probably just take out resistance or something. It doesn't matter. This is a mess. I don't expect anybody to understand what's going on here, But some of this wiring is for the future clock, and some of it is for this clock, which can easily be moved out of the wiring, but if ever we begin to build this anytime soon, it's going to need to be either redesigned or we got to move this clock down here. So, yeah. That's all in good time, I hope, I think, I don't know. But that's the case right now. I'm going to connect this just like so. So what I've decided is the items will unload into this clock, which will bring it right straight up through the main elevator. I did some testing in a creative world, and I found that the hoppers right here won't actually obstruct it, so this elevator can go straight through the other dispenser, or the other dropper. But, of course, like I said, I'm going to connect this wire here to shut down this clock so that the two are never running at the same time. It is kind of giving me a headache just how sloppy this wiring is, but there's a torch on top of that block. Basically, this piston will pull up and it'll release this, so I'm locking the hopper that that accesses that dropper, and I'm also permanently shutting down this whole system, which is what this torch being off does. So none of this will ever trigger. And that of course gets relieved as soon as this hopper up here is done. I have given up making this compact. Don't really care. It is just, as long as it works, because check this out. As long as you're inside here, you'll never see any of it. As long as the wiring's not too laggy, it won't ever matter. So, that is a job well done. And with that, I will end the episode here. Thanks for watching. Looks like it works. Nice.